This is the biggest energy crisis ever faced by the world. This is even greater than the 1973 oil embargo, the Arab oil embargo, and its consequences for the world. And this is not what I am saying. This is International Energy Agency saying. So the world entirely is faced with a crisis which it has never faced. It will have consequences for the entire world, for the economies of the global economies. And the most impacted part of it would indeed be the issue is that, look, the wealthy countries have the capacity to manage things. People in the first world are able to pay higher crude prices and higher gas or petrol prices at the gas stations. But the most affected people would be in the East, in South Asia, where the people are not that well-to-do in that sense. And if the prices of gasoline goes up, then it would be much more difficult for them to face the consequences of it. So let's see, there are two scenarios. The first scenario is the infrastructure, the oil reserves infrastructure. And the second scenario is the economic fallout of it. Now, before going on to the reserves infrastructure in most of the countries, let me make it very clear that a larger part of oil that passes through the Straits of Hormuz is going to Asia, to the fast-growing economies of China, to the fast-growing economy of India, to countries such as Pakistan and Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia. So these all countries are going to be affected tremendously by this thing. Now there's another route the Saudis are trying to use, using their east-west pipeline. Remember it that 90% of oil, Saudi oil, is produced in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, on the Gulf Coast. And they have been exporting virtually 70 to 80% of their crude from East Coast, where the only connection is through Straits of Hormuz. Now that is closed right now. The world's largest oil field is Ghawar oil field, which has been producing something like 5 million barrels a day, even today. So that's the largest, one of the super giant oil fields, as they call it. But now, since the Straits of Hormuz is being closed, is staying closed, and for how long, no one knows literally. So oil from Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil exporter, cannot flow out of its eastern ports. Now, what are the other options available? There's just one other option available, the East-West pipeline, which takes oil and crude from the eastern province of Saudi Arabia to the western coast of the Red Sea coast, where the city of Yanbu is there. Now, Yanbu port is operational, but that the Iranians can hit that as well. In fact, if you recall, just a couple of days back, Samref refinery was attacked. Now, where is Samref refinery located? It is located in Yanbu on the west coast of Saudi Arabia. Now, why was it attacked? That's a different scenario. That's a different situation. Basically, perhaps, this is my understanding, as I'm speculating right now, that perhaps because Samref has got a 50% stake of ExxonMobil. So it has got American stakes. That's the reason the Iranians targeted it. Now, even if Saudi Arabia exports out all its crude from using Yanbu port, even then it has to pass through Bab al-Mandab, and where the Houthis can influence the shipment. In recent months, they were able to completely stop shipment from Bab al-Mandab as well. So Strait of Hormuz is closed, and Bab al-Mandab is also under threat. So that means, in fact, The first, when Pakistanis rushed over to Saudi Arabia, and initially Saudi Aramco declined to honor its commitment early in March for one of the refineries in Pakistan. I think it was Pakistan Refinery, if I'm not wrong, or maybe National Refinery. Then Pakistanis rushed over, and the Saudis said that, okay, we will send it to you from using the Yambu port. And apparently that is reaching or has reached Pakistan, the vessel Karachi. And then Iran also permitted some of the oil from that region to pass for Pakistan to pass through the Straits of Hormuz. So what I'm trying to explain out here is that this entire region, Asia, is definitely extremely vulnerable. Now, China is China. We are no comparison to China. China has got tremendous storage capacity. What is their storage capacity is difficult to say. They have never revealed it. There are no official figures available to it, but there are at least hundreds of millions of barrels there. India has been developing some reserves. Also, that reserves are also not huge, but I believe they can sustain something like 30 million for about 30 to 40 days. There's an understanding is. Unfortunately, Pakistan's reserves are virtually for a few days. And if Pakistan does not receive new shipments for crude to the refineries, for getting it processed and refined into different fuel products, then Pakistan is in a major crisis. But we have virtually zero strategic reserves in Pakistan, except those owned by the refineries, because they bring in, store it in their silos, and that is maybe for 5, 10, 15 days. So that is all our storage capacity. And if you recall, General Bajwa, in some of his private briefings to journalists, and which is now open, everyone is saying that he said it, that Pakistan is unable to go for a long war with India or with anyone else, only because the storage reserves of Pakistan or the petrol reserves of Pakistan are non-existent. So Pakistan cannot find a prolonged war in that sense. So that's the infrastructure part of it. Economically, again, China can sustain it. They've got foreign exchange reserves. What are we going to do? We are already getting some sort of rationing. Schools are getting closed in Punjab and elsewhere, I believe. Working hours, working days, work from homes, these are getting into practice again and again. Government is trying to, for austerity measures for petroleum supplies, government employees have their allotments, their quotas for petrol has been reduced. So all these steps are being taken. But what does all it mean? It means that the economic wheel of Pakistan and countries such as Pakistan would start to slow down gradually and slowly. Now, Pakistan also does not have any significant relationship with Russia for importing crude oil. That was started once upon a time while Imran Khan was there, but then it was later stopped. Perhaps people gave in to the pressure from the Americans, and they did not want to annoy the Americans. So we don't have that connection, which India has still got. And India is still getting, in fact, India has been permitted, and now the entire world has been permitted by the United States to buy oil from Russia as well. Pakistan cannot avail of this opportunity even. So even if the prices have gone, if we are able to afford, let's say, $95-$100 a barrel or $115 a barrel, which is at this moment, for us to buy it, from where and from which route it would reach Pakistan, it would be very, very difficult. Europe has a little different scenario. Now, of course, they won't be opting for Russian oil, but Russian gas, some of these countries may be opting for Russian gas until at least April 11, until when the American administration has permitted countries to buy energy from Russia. And that April 11th could even be extended if this war prolongs. Similarly, most of these countries have got reserves with them. OECD has got reserves, International Energy Agency, which is the basically energy watchdog of OECD countries. And OECD has just announced, IEA has recently announced releasing 400 million barrels of oil from its reserves. So while and of course, air travel is going to go less, basically people driving out is getting less due to all these rationing and high prices, which is no more tempting for people to drive out, go for a drive out. So demand is going low, consumption is getting low. So all that means that Europe may still be able to sustain. Americas, of course, is to a very large extent. Americans are independent. They have got a considerable supply. So the worst hit part of this is Asia, to which we belong. We neither have the economic muscle to face it, nor we have the infrastructure to face it. And we are the worst victim of this energy crisis, the largest ever faced by the world. In the meantime, what is happening around is that exports from Middle East is falling back. In fact, Reuters is saying that from 25.1 million barrels per day exports from the Middle East by the end of February, it has gone down to 9.7 million barrels per day, which is less than 10% of the total exports, what the Middle East or what the Gulf Arab petro-states were exporting out until in February. Some other Vortexa says the export is even lower than 9.7 million barrels per day, as Reuters saying. They say it is 7.5 million barrels per day. If you look at country-wise, UAE output is down by more than 50%. Saudi Arabia is down at least by 20%. Iraq is down by 70%, from 4.3 million barrels per day to 1.7 million barrels a day. Kuwait is heading towards zero. Qatar Energy Minister Saad Al-Kabi says that Gulf exporter may need to shut down their oil and gas fields within the week or so. And Qatar has already announced a force majeure. So that means the LNG, and after that, Ras Laffan, the attack on Ras Laffan gas processing unit there, the LNG exports from Russia, which is basically meeting demands of countries like Pakistan, is getting to a halt completely. And that makes another difficult proposition for Pakistan, that from where Pakistan is going to replace LNG, which was coming from Qatar. Qatar has been the largest producer of LNG. So that is now closed, almost shut down. And then the impact of this is not, even if the war stops tomorrow, if the Strait of Hormuz opens tomorrow, if the Bab al-Mandab remains open tomorrow, already most of these Arab oil producers had to reduce their output, some by 70%, some by 90%, some by 20%. But that means that they had to cap their output. Now, basically restarting those cap fields is not a one-day job. It may take months. If one recalls that often Russia used to, when Russia under pressure from OPEC in their arrangement of output quotas, Russia were under pressure to reduce its output because it was one of the output busters in that sense. Russia used always to take the plea that we cannot really cap Siberian oil fields, because if we shut it down today, it won't be possible for us to restart it, perhaps forever, or at least for a long, long time. The same, the Arab oil fields could also face. So this is a situation, this is a scenario that is not going to go away tomorrow. It is going to last. And on the last note, the war at this moment, at least while I'm speaking, it doesn't appear that it is going to stop tomorrow. And if it doesn't stop tomorrow, if it prolongs, the after effects of it would be felt even much, much longer. Let's be ready to face the music.